Hello, fellow Dungeon Jedi Masters. Welcome to Invasion Part 1. This is the annual Dungeon Jedi Master campaign. It's going to mirror my live Twitch campaign as well, but it's going to deal with the Yuzon Vong invading the Star Wars galaxy. And this is the first session, or first two sessions most likely, that you can run with your table and bring them into the invasion world. It's actually going to be going live on our Patreon today for our Jedi Knight tiers. It's already been live for our Masters. We've got some great feedback so far from them already. I'll have a link in the description. You can go right in there, download it, read it, and run it for your table. And as I mentioned, it's going to mirror my campaign Invasion as well, which is going to be going live, which is session one is starting today, Tuesday, February 1st. So if you're watching this today, join me at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time at my Twitch channel, which you can find right down there, twitch.tv slash Tegan DJM. You'll be able to see us play live, get to meet the new party, and see how this adventure will play. See some of the tips and tricks I've got here, and see if I actually use them and see how it plays live with my crew. But just want to give you all a heads up that is going live today. February 1st for any night tier. And if you're not a member of our Patreon and after seeing this or are interested in checking it out, come support us. We do for the Invasion campaign, we'll have 6 new adventures posted throughout the year, but we also have other encounters or how-tos. Like Todd did a how-to kind of meeting in a cantina on how to generate that cantina and how to bring the group together and just some cool stuff you can include in there to get the group together and engaged from the start. And we post something like that every month, whether it be the months that it's the invasion campaign or the other months where we're posting different encounters and how-tos and just general things to make your running your table a lot easier. So check us out, support us, and bring some great things back to your table. Outside of that, though, just kind of an intro into the adventure as a whole and just kind of the feel that I'm going for with the invasion campaigns, both my own and the ones for DJM. The Yuzon Vong are a very different enemy from the Star Wars universe. They're not the Sith, they're not the Empire. They've got their own they're from another galaxy, and it really shows. They've got the most alien feel of any Star Wars enemy. They've got different sets of values, different sets of morals, just really different from anything we've come across. And they're a fun one, I think, to bring to tabletop, just due to the dynamic they bring, especially coming from outside the galaxy. I think it just really adds some additional layers that you can do to put a little bit more intrigue as well as a little bit of politics into your game too. So that's kind of what I'm going for with the invasion campaign. In my setting, it's going to be the invasion is going to take place during the Old Republic. There are a lot of different factions prior to the start of the campaign. The Republic and Dominion, and the Sith Dominion's a group I made up. It's kind of the Sith Empire of their time, ruled by Darth Dominus. Just a little different than the regular empires. They've got a little bit of a more gray, not gray feel, but they are not less brutal than most Sith. They are definitely still brutal. Still, his name is Darth Dominus, so he wants everybody to bow down. But if you bow down, you get treated okay for a Sith. But that's neither here nor there. That's one of the crux of one of the core inciting issues before the Vong going are the Republic and Dominion. They've been at war for the last 10 years. Chaos across the galaxy, destruction. Everybody's been kind of pushed into their own little silos and are fighting for themselves. So you've got the Republic, you've got the Dominion, you've got the Mandalorians, of course, kicking around, doing whatever they can to bolster their own reps. You've got the Hutt cartels trying to find what profit they can make, along with the Black Sun and the Exchange, also looking to see what they can do to expand their criminal networks and make their bosses a lot of credits. You got Zerka, too, and I love Zerka. They're one of my favorite Star Wars antagonists, for lack of a better word, or not even antagonists, just people to have in the galaxy, because they're just pure corporate. And I feel like Star Wars sometimes they got the Trade Federation, but they didn't really need to go into that too much. But they're just a straight corporate entity that wants to make a lot of money and don't really care how they're going to do it. So I've got them in there. But the reason I bring this all up is because I think one of the fun pieces of the invasion aspect of the campaign, and I put this into the document as well, and you can kind of play this up or down as much as you like. But one of the nice pieces is to really show that the galaxy is fractured, and one of the big pieces my players are going to have to do is find a way to bring the galaxy together to be able to combat the threat of the Yuzon Vong. Because the Vong are coming, they are galaxy conquerors. They're going to come in hard. They're coming quiet at first, but they're going to come in hard. They're going to try to disrupt the galaxy. And they've already been working behind the scenes to do so as well. So they're just really, it's going to need the whole galaxy to come against them. But as we've seen in real life, people have their own interests and they will go even against what's best for them to overall support those interests. So this one's going to have, at least in my campaign, I'm going to have the tools for you to use it in yours too. Good bits of political intrigue, people going for their own interests, self-serving, and the players are going to have some good politician hats on at times to be able to wrangle all the different groups and make them a united front. For DMs running this too, and you can watch my sessions as well to get some tips and tricks for what I do. But and you guys, if you've watched the podcast or listened to the podcast or watched the YouTube, you know I'm a huge Colville fan. Watch Colville's Politics series. Phenomenal. I've used it a lot for my D&D or my straight D&D campaign, Kazia. But I'm going to be leaning heavily on some of like the cool thoughts he had for this campaign. If you want to imitate some of that or even just make it your own, check out the Colville MCDM's Politics series. Is just a really good information that you can use to apply at your table. But that's just a little bit of the background. So, Galaxy at War, fractured, in comes the new guys who don't care for structure. Don't The Vong are a terrifying enemy. They hate tech. They're kind of they're fanatics, for lack of a better way to put it. They've got very high religious devotion. They are a warrior race, bred to fight, dominate, and conquer. They relish pain and they feel it makes it closer to their gods. They hate technology. That's one thing I put in there too. One of the big enemies, Carlas, for this adventure. If you have somebody that has or that uses technology, which is going to be most of the party, he's going to be think less of them. They're going to dishonor themselves for doing that. If you have a droid, he's going to hyper focus. The Yuzon Vong hate droids. Droids are the highest degree of blasphemy for them. So if you do come across a droid in your party, somebody has a droid companion, they're going to be targeted a little bit. They're also, and while they hate droids, the thing they hate the most are people with cyborg enhancements. So if you do have anybody that's got like a cyborg arm or leg or eye, they are going to be the big target. Outside of that, though, they like to focus on the Jedi just to kind of prove their valor against them. They were a big warrior race, big on honor, huge honor culture. They believe a good death is the best reward for a life. So to die with honor, to die accomplished, is something that they highly regard. They live their life looking towards death, for lack of a better way to put it. And also, highly recommend too, if you're running this campaign, check out Wikipedia. Ton of information about the Yuzon Vong, or read the New Jedi Order series. I'm rereading the New Jedi Order series, which goes over the Yuzon Vong invasion of Legends canon 20, 30 years after the Battle of Yavin. So you get Luke, you get Luke's Mara Jade, Luke's nephews, Jason, Anakin Solo, and Jaina to just get to see them combat the New Jedi Order going up against the Yuzon Vong and the New Republic. But overall, great read and kind of great background for the series. Overall, with this campaign and adventure, though, for some of the themes that you really want to kind of go through, and I try to play it up as much as I can in some descriptions and pieces within the campaign, go for that otherworldly feel. The Vong are just really, they're outside of this galaxy. They've got a completely different feel. They use creatures, for biologically engineered creatures, for their technology. They've got a pretty brutal look too, so just really play that up as you're making those descriptions, as you're describing their actions, and just the way they approach things. Just really make sure your players know these aren't like things you've come across or foes you've gone against in the past. So just really hype up that angle. And one thing I'm going to be doing for my sessions and can fit well for your table if your group agrees, play up a little bit of the brutality and horror aspect. The Vong are definitely one that lends themselves more towards a horror-esque feel in the Star Wars universe, and especially for the first few sessions, I'm going to be playing that up pretty well. Their devotion to pain, their weird, brutal living tech. There's just so much there that can lend it to that side, and especially with them at that point being unknown too. I think you can have some fun with your players on that side. So those are a couple of the big themes for the overall campaign. Biggest theme is bringing people together. And that's kind of leading into the start of the adventure, the coming together section. So with this, I wanted to do a little bit of a hot start. So as you read the adventure, you'll see it starts off rolling initiative. And that's not going to go right into combat, but the initiative is going to determine kind of who gets introduced first. And basically, what's going on is they're all going to wind up in mines beneath the planet Vela, and Vela is the starting planet for the campaign. And Vela is a planet I made up. It's in the Terminus system. I don't have a map up right now, but if you pull up the Star Wars galaxy, it's real near the bottom. It's near the edge of the galaxy, which fits perfect. But the cool thing is it's right on the intersection of two major hyperspace lanes. So I used the Terminus system. I made up my own planet in that, and basically Vela is the starting planet, and they're starting there because Zerka has found Tabana gas and the components necessary to make baridium. And baridium is used for thermal detonators, high yield proton bombs. Actually, I don't think it's used for proton bombs, but high yield missiles and explosives and bombs. It's one of the major components for it. So, especially during a wartime period, with Dominion and Republic, 10 years warring. That's a really high value target because Tabana gas is used to power blasters, Baridium makes bombs. This is a big find. So Zerka negotiated that whoever wins the planet, they get mining rights because they're a corporation. They're going to get their money regardless. And the Dominion and Republic have both brought their fleets, or both brought a portion of their fleets there, and are duking it out above the planet with their soldiers on the ground, trying to secure as much of the resources as they can. So that's where the group will start off. And with the coming together section, you can do this however you like for your table. I've recommended encouraging players to pick factions just so they have different interests that they're representing. So with my group, I've got somebody representing Zerka, somebody on the Black Sun, two Republic soldiers, and a Mandalorian too. So they're all kind of coming from different backgrounds and having different goals that they're going after. And that's the nice thing with the coming together section because they're all going to have different reasons for winding up in the mines. And I included some sample reasons in there that you can use for your table, but definitely work with your players, read their backstories, find some cool ways to bring them in there. But basically, they're all going to wind up in the mines, and I recommend using that coming together portion with initiative rolls to go through and kind of show what brought them into the mines. Maybe they're from Zerka and they're there to secure the tunnels and see what's going on with these unusual readings they've been getting. Or maybe they're from the Black Sun and they're there to kind of find that new tunnel that Zerka's dug up, mark it, and send it back home so somebody can come and start siphoning off of it. Whatever it may be, each player should have their own reason and should have their own little spotlight shined on them to bring them into the tunnels. And at that point, they're all going to wind up at the same point in the tunnels. They're going to see a little bit of a shrine that I've detailed inside the adventure. The Yuzon Vong hate technology, and I said droids in particular. They made a little bit of a shrine with some remains too, so pretty creepy. Read more of the adventure. I try to amp up the creepiness for it, but go above and beyond with your own description style to just make it seem weird, make it a little bit creepy. You gotta make it a little jumpy as they see it, and then after that, they're gonna hear drums beating in the background and see. They gotta hear marching steps. And basically, they're going to be thrown right into the combat. Use that same initiative order. They're going to have the Chazrox, I believe. I've never heard it aloud, but that sounds like it sounds like how it's spelled. The Chazrox, brief backstory for them, are a Yuzon Vong slave species. They've been genetically engineered, basically to subservience. So they're going to be the first foes that the players go up against. Nice thing too with this one because they're going to be using, and one of the pieces too they'll see as you go through, the Yuzon Vong used for the Chazrax and for the people that they've captured in the galaxy so far, the humanoids and other citizens of the Star Wars galaxy. They use York coral slave devices, which are like these little coral biological pieces that they insert either into, I think, their neck or the cheek, and you see that once it's in there, it starts to spread coral throughout the person's body, and it can be used to control and kind of mind wipe them, for lack of a better way. It's like a restraining bolt for a droid. Is kind of the best way to put it. So they'll see that. If you have anybody that takes down the Chazrax and investigates them, I think they've got two big ones on their forehead that are protruding out. So investigate with a medicine check or investigation, and we kind of detail a little bit more of the adventure, but let them know a little bit about that, just so they can kind of see that piece before they get to the next part. As you go through, you defeat those Chazrax, and after that too, remember, these people have never met each other. These are all new adventures. Maybe some of them maybe from the same faction and know of each other, but they're brand new. Have some encourage some cool RP from that, because a lot of them may be from different factions. Like with my group, we've got somebody from Zerka, somebody from Black Sun, we've got somebody from the Mandalorians, Republic. They've all got different interests in there, but they've had to fight along together just to make sure they didn't get killed by the Chazrax. But they should still have questions. They should still be a little on edge. So hopefully, you'll see with my campaign that they get some good RP from it. One thing I do, I recommend to encourage that, and I'll include a link in there too, is I use the rumor system too. So Star Wars is rife with rumors. This could be a great way to have your players know a little bit about some of the other adventurers, whether it be good things, bad things, truths, lies. That could help speed up that first session RP and make them have an impression of that PC, whether it be good or bad, but hopefully good feel for RP regardless. So that's kind of where they start off at. They come together. As you go further into the facility, they're going to see more and more kind of otherworldly sights. The biggest one, and I kind of alluded to it earlier, because you saw the Chazrax, they've got that York coral in their foreheads, but you're also going to see some galactic citizens with York coral in them as well. These guys are going to be, and what I recommend doing for this too, and I wrote this in there, have this made up of people of the players of their factions. So if you got somebody from the Republic, have some Republic soldiers down there. Maybe people they know, maybe not. Depends on how you want to play it. But just definitely have some people that they would recognize from different factions down there. They can do a medicine check. They'll notice that the York Crow for these slaves have spread, unfortunately, through their body. So it's not something that can be quickly taken out. They would need a full surgical suite to do so. But they would realize that these people are not aware anymore, that they're not really in control of themselves, that they're the York Coral at this stage, outside of that full surgical suite, is almost taking them over. So just gotta give a little bit of the background there and see that aspect. And they're going to come across a couple that they can kind of safely interact with before. Which later, as they go in there, they're going to meet a thrall herder, which is a big beetle-like creature that controls both the Chazrax and the humanoid slaves that have been taken. So they're going to come against them. That'll be the next big encounter. But it just kind of gives them, make sure you include that piece so they meet a couple ahead of time, just so they can see how that's going and just kind of see a little bit more in a low-stakes environment about what's actually happening with those people. After that, though, they're going to meet Carvas. Actually, Carvas is going to have Villips throughout the area, especially the first encounter. He's going to have two Villips on his Chazrax. He's going to get to see a little bit of the party's fights, and he's going to mock them as much as he can. There may be some that earn his respect. People that fight without technology, if you have a monk that's going barehanded in there, they'll earn some respect, or even just ferocious warriors, whether they do use technology or not, will earn a measure of respect for him, too. And he's gonna have him antagonize the party, have him be a bit of a dick, for lack of a better way to put it. He's arrogant, he is cocky, he's a zealot. He believes his way is the right way and the only way, and that everybody else who does not follow it is inferior. So play it up, talk that up with him, and just really make sure that the party is ready to take him on by the time they get to the end. And with this, there's going to be three encounters. We've already went over the Chazrak encounter, the Thrall Herder encounter. There's also some bits of interaction with the slaves, as well as different traps and pieces throughout there as well. But eventually you are going to get to that final encounter with Carvas. This is a fun block. I had a lot of... I enjoyed putting this all together. This will be a challenging encounter for your players. He can do a lot. He doesn't have legendary actions or resistances, but he is designed to make life difficult for the players. So have him go in there, have him just kind of cause some chaos, make it a real nail biter of a fight for the party. But after the party, eventually takes them down. And one thing I would mention with the Vong too, and this kind of depends on how you want to play it with your table, but I'm going to be using with my campaign. The Vong are ferocious. The Vong are very likely to take a life. So I mentioned to my players, have healing on hand. If somebody goes down, the Vong are the type of dudes that will swing at a down body. So pop people up as quickly as you can because death is a very real thing in this galaxy. So just something to be aware of there. Also, with it, after you take down Car, hopefully the party's all still up. But they're going to see in that room a big Dovin Basal. The Dovin Basals are huge gravity projectors, and they use them to use it for their ships and defense and all that. But this Dovin Basal has been pulling at the core of Vela, looking to stabilize it and kind of pull the core, some of its molten goodness, into the pockets of turbanic gas and beradium components and destabilize it and eventually destroy it. So the players, they can destroy the Dovin Vassal, but unfortunately they are going to be too late to save the planet. And one thing I'd encourage you to do is, as they move throughout the facility, have little tremors, have little things like that to show that it is destabilizing too. But the next big piece of the adventure is going to be escape, running outside of the, kind of getting out of the tunnels, back to a ship, and have a ship there for them, either one of the player ships or something that you can kind of co-opt in there. And then they're going to take off from the planet and see the planet begin to just destabilize. You'll see gouts of flame, tremors shaking apart, mountains crumbling, all the goodness of a planet breaking up. And you're going to see too, as you kind of get closer to the edge of the atmosphere, that the Republic fleet, the Dominion fleet, are getting harassed by what looks like asteroids. But we'll see eventually those are Yuzon Vong coral skippers that are pushing those fleets closer and closer to the planet. You'll see too that long range comms are jammed. You can communicate with ships in the area, but nothing that's getting past. They've actually taken out the hollow net receiver that kind of allows the long range comms to be sent across the galaxy, so word isn't getting out there. They're going to see that those ships are getting pushed in and in, and eventually the planet's going to blow. And most of those Republic and Dominion ships are going to be taken out. One other piece I included in there too is there's going to be a refugee fleet, and most of that refugee fleet is going to make its way out, giving your players the option of trying to help them escape or escaping themselves too. So that's where kind of the adventure is going to end. We recommend doing, if you are using ship combat, this would be a great episode or a great spot to include some ship-based combat or ship-based activities within there. So I'm going to be including with my session. So take a look at probably session 3 or 4 is where you'll get to see how that portion goes. But overall, that'll be the end of the adventure until we pick up with the next one. We have some tips and things you can do for adventures in between. But the next adventure will be launching for DJM for your tables. April. So April 1st, or first, not April 1st, the first Tuesday in April, I should say, we'll have that up and you'll be able to play that next adventure, but definitely include some downtime pieces in between just to keep your players engaged. But overall, that was just a good look at that first adventure on there for the Invasion campaign for Dungeon Jedi Masters. Seriously, if you haven't, follow me at twitch.tv/TeganDJM. That'll allow you to see me play this live today, Tuesday the 1st, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you're watching this video later, I will be putting all of those live play or actual play campaigns onto YouTube the Tuesday after they launch. So later today, you'll get to see our session 0. Highly recommend you check that out. But next Tuesday, the 8th, you'll be able to see the actual play 2. So take a look at it. See some of the areas where I did well and some things I may not have done the way you'd like to see it. So make this campaign your own. Really run it to the kind of the best way to fit you and your players. So check out the links below. We'll have links to the Patreon, my Twitch, Dungeon Jedi Masters as a whole. We truly appreciate all of your support for our patrons who've just really been with us throughout the years as we built up. Truly love that support. And if you haven't joined our Discord, join our Discord and let us know what you think of the Invasion campaign, how it ran with your players, and just any feedback you have. Always love hearing from the fans. So thank you guys again for your time, and may the Force be with you.